Welcome to the Horde.
Hello Hordlings, welcome to Goblin Horde Nail. I'm Goblin and today we're going to be answering the question that every aspiring nail artist asks themselves. Do I really need the more expensive brushes? To find out, we're pitting the budget-friendly Makartt nail art set from Amazon against the high-end collection from the BallPit shop. Let's see if these cheap Amazon brushes can handle the micro detail work I have planned for today. Alright, so the first one we're going to do is the Makartt brush one, and I'm doing a portrait that I found on Pinterest. I'm not sure if it's AI or has an artist. If I find an artist, I'll put that down in the comments. But we've already got a nice base coat on our nail, and as I'm sure you can tell by looking at my nails, I am more of a stiletto girly, but it gives me a bit more space to work with to work on a tapered square rather than a stiletto. And we're starting off with BallPit V Black as the base. Honestly, I don't know why the hell I'm holding it like this. It'd be a lot easier to put it down, dummy. Sometimes I'm still in the mode where I used to do nails, which I did them in an armchair on my lap. So sometimes I forget that I don't have to hold my polish anymore. I can put it down on my desk like a normal person. Right. And we'll probably just stick with one coat of the black because it is pretty opaque by itself. And we're going to go over it with other colors anyway. So I don't want it to get too thick just from the black. And the next color we're going to use is this Aqua Aurora. It's really pretty, and I think it'll give that nice, like, sparkly blue-green that is in the background of the picture that I'm referencing. Alright, so I think I'm going to do a little bit of an ombre with the Aqua Aurora because the picture I'm referencing, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. The picture I'm referencing definitely has it darker up near the top and more vibrant down near the bottom, so I think I'm gonna try to do like a really thin layer and go almost all the way up to the top, but then I think I will brush it up to the top with my ombre brush. And I do really love how that looks against the black. It is beautiful. Oh, I just remembered I don't have my ombre brush because we're doing huh, how did I do this before? So I totally forgot that I'm only using my Makartt brushes, and now I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do the ombre with it. I think I might use the 9mm brush. And the reason that quotations, it is 9mm. Oh, come on, focus. Why do you hate me? But it specifically says that it is a liner brush, and this thing is so thick. Like, that is way too thick to be a liner brush, so I guess I should say like 9mm liner brush, but I think I'm gonna try to see if I can work this up. I can't believe I like immediately almost broke and used one of my BallPit brushes. It's just like, oh yes, of course I can do some ombre with my ombre brush, but no, just kidding, I cannot because I'm not using my BallPit. Okay, so I think if we just kind of blur this a little bit more, that doesn't look too bad at all. It does give the look that I wanted of it being a little bit darker up near the top. The only thing that I'm not liking about it is the kind of harsh line that we've got going on right here. It's harder to see in person, but it's definitely showing up on the camera. Let me wipe my brush off real quick and see if I can do something about that line. Stay. Alright, so we're going to use a lint-free wipe to get color that is on here off. And then see if we can't blend that out a little bit better. And I'm trying to do like where I'm not super fussed about where exactly I'm putting my brush when I do this, because I feel like if I am too careful about it, but I feel like if I'm too precise, then the line will just stay. If I can do like jagged, no. My brain does dumb sometimes. Okay, there we go. Put that into cure. Okay, and then I think I'm gonna do a little bit down near the bottom. Like a little bit of one more coat down near the bottom because it is pretty vibrant down there. Yes. Oh, don't mind my hands shaking. I have several medications I have to take and they do give me shaky hands sometimes. So if you see my hands shaking, don't worry about it. It's fine. Probably not bad. I think it'll work in a pinch. So that's at least something that you could do with the 9mm brush, even if you can't do any line work with it. Stupid thing. I don't love that. Let's see if we can drag that back down a bit. There we go. So now we've got a little bit of an ombre going on, a nice dark background. So the next thing I'm going to do are the trees that are in the background, and we're going to use this B230 by Beetles. It is kind of a purpley, like super dark. It's supposed to be a super dark blue, but this is purple. What are you talking about? Blue. But I do think it will give a good, like, almost faded, shadowy look to the trees in the background. Okay. Wait, get off. Me, stay. Okay, so, excuse you. Go back over there. Oi. Bad. Which one is this? The 25mm? Yeah, that'll probably be good for these trees. So let's see how this guy does. We might go to a smaller one. We'll see. But I'm just gonna drag the brush up and kind of let it go a little janky sometimes, because you know trees don't fully dry straight or grow straight. Like, I think I'm gonna make this line just a little bit thicker. Ah, okay. I don't know if you saw that, but my brush just split. Come on. Oh, goodness. Okay, I don't like this brush. This brush is grounded. So, I'm just gonna wipe it off for now, and I will clean it later. So, let's try the 15mm instead, see if that one works better. And I'm trying to get it almost all the way to the top, but I don't think I want it to go completely to the top. Okay, I think that's probably high enough. And with this, I'm just kind of putting the branches wherever I want. Like, I know I'm recreating someone else's painting, or an AI painting, I'm not sure. But I still, like, I want it to, in the end, still be my art, so I'll often make little changes to paintings that I'm recreating on nail art. I also just realized I'm a moron and I forgot to put the matte top coat on. No wonder this is so friggin' hard to see. So if the deciding factor between the brushes is whether or not this tree is better, this tree is my fault, so it doesn't count. So, this time, we're going to go over it with the matte No White Top Coat by BallPit, because that makes it a lot easier to, one, see your work, and two, just paint in general. It's kind of like painting on paper rather than whatever texture nails are. Okay. And now that we actually have the matte top coat on, I can see that I need to bring the tree up a little bit higher because I thought that this line was part of the tree. So yeah, I'm a professional. We'll say this tree also looked way better before I put the matte top coat over it. top coat just over here calling me out. Okay, got a better looking tree now. And I am a big fan of curing frequently because then if I make a mistake, I can wipe that mistake off without worrying about disturbing my work that I'm actually happy with. Ugh, stupid camera. All right, there's another tree done. All right, and it looks like instead of like a tree on this side, they have a branch coming off this way. Yeah, looks like a creepy grabby hand. That's perfect tree. Branch. Actually, I do think I'm going to add a little bit more thickness to this branch before I cure. Since this one is a little bit more in the foreground. All right. And now we're going to get out the BallPit Emo Black Liner Gel because we're going to add a little bit of shading to that tree branch that we just did. Go over there. Oop. Just put it where you guys can see it. Nobody saw that. So I only want to add a little bit of a shadow, so I'm trying not to put too much black on. Almost as I can. You know what? There. Okay. Just have an extra branch there, I guess. Let me see if I can use my 9mm to brush that mistake away. Pray for me. I think that's a way enough. All right, now that we're done with the foreground, I'm going to stick it in to cure all the way, and then I'll add another layer of matte top coat. One of the reasons I like doing the matte top coat in between layers, besides the fact that it increases the drawability, is you can get like a sneak peek of what it's going to look like when you put the shiny top coat on later. So now I'm going to go in again with the 15mm. Honestly, this is my most used brush whenever I used to use this set. And we're going to add the main trunk of the tree. Add that little notch in there. We're gonna have this trunk be pretty big since it's the main focus. And I'm trying to decide whether I want to use the black or the liner black to fill this in. I think I might be better off curing and then using the black. So the liner gel is more opaque than the gel paint, than your regular the black gel, so you don't have to do multiple coats to get that opaqueness, but that is why I decided to use the black as opposed to the emo black for my tree, because I didn't want the emo black to be too opaque and then not cure properly. And same with the background. I'm only going to do one layer of this black because we're going to add browns and such to the top of it. So it will be okay if it's slightly see-through. All right, while that is curing, we can start getting the colors ready for the bark. And I shouldn't need this again, so put it off to the side and get all of our fun browns out. So the first color in our lineup is Mepha Nail Gel in 357. And it's this nice, like, taupe color, I think is the word. A little bit of that. Then we've got 166. Just like a nice warm brown. A little bit darker. And lastly, we've got 298, which is a rather dark, kind of chocolatey brown, a little bit rosy. And I lied, this is not the last color. I've got one more. Okay, so I think the way I'm gonna do this is probably gonna look really friggin' weird, but I'm gonna take my 9mm, and I think I'm gonna start with the darker colors, and I'm just gonna kind of blot them. Wipe her off, grab the next color. We're just gonna kind of put it in the in-between spaces. And I'm kind of putting this one pretty equal to the other one as much as I can. So the last one is actually Hot Hazelnut from BallPit, which is a skin tone color, but I really like the pinkish quality of it. Like, it's beautiful chocolate with a little bit of like a warm reddish tone to it. So I think that is going to be a beautiful bark as well. And we'll do the... You watched me do that, right? You watched me do that really stupid thing? I meant to do this. Okay, I think I've got enough on here, so clean off the 9mm. And clean my 15mm off really quick because I totally forgot to do that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is try to just drag along this way. And I'm going to wipe my brush off every now and again too, so we don't get like too muddied of colors. And then I'm going to go back the other way just to make sure that we're not too muddy. Alright, I think I am pretty happy with that for our tree, so I'm going to go ahead and let it cure, and then I'm going to top it with another matte top coat before we start adding the moss. And while that cures, we'll get our highlight color, which is the 354 by Mepha, I think. I don't know. Don't need a ton of that. And then we'll get our moss colors too. So we've got Model 1s, come on, thank you. Model 1s 0397, which is a beautiful dark green. And then we have beetles B226, which I'm gonna put right next to because I'm probably gonna do some mixing in the middle here. Let's grab one of my dotting tools to mix it up. And then we have the Paintball's green apple. So the first thing I want to do is get some highlights on. Gonna start with my 11mm brush. And I like how this area here almost looks like a little knot or a hole in the tree. So I want to add just like a little bit of highlight here, just to kind of sell that hole in the tree look. And I'm going to use my 9mm to diffuse it a little bit. There we go. I hope that was in camera. I have no idea. Okay, and now I'm going to use my 9mm to kind of just blot a couple of areas that I want to add highlight. Kind of doing a very similar thing to what I did with the tree bark. Alright, so those are a little bit bigger and brighter than I want them to be, so I'm going to see if I can diffuse it out a little bit by dipping my brush into alcohol before doing the same swiping movements. See if we can't wipe some of it off without losing our texture. And now that the highlighting's done, I can start adding in the moss. And I'm going to start with that color that I mixed earlier, because I think I'm going to use this for just plants. And I'm going to do the pretty much same thing that I've been doing to make these tree textures. Normally I dot for moss, but I really like how the artist did the moss in the original drawing, or the original painting. And they kind of had the moss have the same like lined texture, like it was growing in between the pieces of bark, and I felt like I wanted that same thing, so. Also gonna have it trailing down here, I think. Definitely need to have some coming down this way. Alright, so we've got our splotches. Wipe my brush off real quick. Ah, shit. Sorry. I swear, I'm getting better about being aware of the camera. It's just above me, so it's hard to keep track of. Okay, I think, let's see if we can get it just a little closer to the edge here. That looks nice. I'm gonna go ahead and put that into cure so that I have the time to get out what I need for the background leaves and the fireflies. So for the background leaves, we're gonna be using Paintball's Mango Smoothie. Oi. And the next one for the fireflies is Paintball's Pineapple Ring. Okay. So I'm not actually sure if the, let's see, should we do the leaves first or the, wait, stop it. So I'm not actually sure if these little like orangey things are supposed to be leaves, but I decided that they are. So in my version, they're leaves, and I'm gonna put them like around my little creepy hand dude. And I decided to kind of just go in with my 9mm and just kind of blot and let it do whatever it's gonna do. Because I think that gives it a really nice natural feel. Oi. constant fight of someone with cats. I swear I saw a cat hair on here. Oh well. If I see it again, I'll get it. If you see it, I'm gonna need you to point it out Dora Explorer style. Yeah, I like that. I think that looks good. And then what I'm gonna do is, before curing, I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow into these leaves to give them a little bit more texture, I think. Ah! Nobody saw that. Yeah, I like that. There we go, we have some nice leaves. I like it. And now we can do some fireflies. Stupid camera. Camera! Why are you like this? Focus. Alright. Don't come for me for using this dotting tool, because I'm going to use the dotting tool with my ball pit brushes too, so this doesn't count. My hand decided to do a little spaz with that one. Come on now. Oh shit, sorry. Okay, now that we got that on, I'm gonna start blurring out the edges here, because this is gonna be the aura of the fireflies rather than the fireflies themselves. Well, that's delightfully horrifying. Alright, I like that better. A lot more diffused looking. Cure that real quick. Camera, why are you like this? Alright. So, actually, I'm gonna do a full cure because I'm gonna put another layer of top coat over this now, and then we'll do some more finer details. I'm so excited to see this when it's finished. It's gonna be so pretty. Alright. It looks like we are now hitting the trust the process stage of our painting. Whomst is going to be best? Not you, I don't like you. 15. Alright, let's try it with the 11mm and get this lighter color and just kind of work it along the edges. And I'm just gonna add like a teensy bit more like glow with yellow. Kind of really give that magical glow, which would be a lot more visible if my camera would focus! Oh, didn't get that blended quite enough. Let's see. Thing I gotta deal with this is the little hook. Let's see if I can focus on it. Come on. Oh, wait. There we go. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's like a tiny little hook on the top of this brush. And if I don't hold the brush exactly perfect, it doesn't drag the way that I want it to. Ah. There we go. That's better. Oh, you stupid camera. You, a little bit of yellow, we're gonna fight. Chill. Thank you. Alright, I'm gonna go in and add some of the plants. Let's see, we've got some grass. I've got my 15 millimeter, so I can add a few nice plants. Really like whenever I've got like similar colors, doing a double dip, one in one color, one in the other, because it gives like a really interesting and not always predictable outcome. And like, for example, these little plants, if my camera will stop being stupid, I feel like it adds a lot more to the plants to have different colors in the leaves. All right, time to get out the colors that we need for mushrooms. So the first thing is paintballs. Paintballs, thank you. Paintballs Very Cherry, which is a really pretty red that I really like, even if it's a mess. Don't look at it. Get out of the way. All right, and then we're gonna be using Beetles in 465. This is a really old bottle, so don't judge me. And lastly, we have The White by BallPit. Can y'all tell I'm a BallPit fan? I'm so excited. It's finally time for mushrooms. Okay, we'll probably use the 11 again. Or no, I think the 9 is going to be better. I have a little bit more control in the smaller areas, except for, you know, all of that garbage. Look at that. Ugh. Nope, I immediately hate it. You see me putting the brush all the way down on the nail and being like, that went everywhere. Okay, so back to the original idea of using the 11 millimeter. So you can see the curve, I think, a little bit better with paint. See if it'll focus. Camera, why? Why are you like this? Come on, there you go. Yeah, so I feel like you can see the curve at the tip of the brush a little bit better. There we go. With a little bit of paint on it. So, it's an okay brush, but I'm always having to be mindful of that little curve. And I totally forgot to say, but now I'm using some of the lighter brown colors to make the stalks. You know, I gotta have a mushroom going out of a little hole at the bottom of my tree. That's in the rules. Ah, you stupid camera. And this should be the last layer of matte, I think. So we should be finishing details next layer. Oh, I'm doing it again. Okay, let's see. Go in with this kind of yellowy off-white and add the edging.
And what I'm doing is basically going in and adding highlight and defining lines at the same time. And I'm using my 15mm brush. It's got a little bit less of a curve at the front, so it's a little easier to do line work. Plus, it's just easier to do line work with a longer brush in general. Just to add a little texture, we'll bring some of this up a bit. Yeah, I like that. Oops. I almost went to turn it over to erase, thinking that I was using my ball pit brushes. Okay, let's see if we can get you to fix this mistake. Okay. There we go. It's just a little too straight. Can't be having any of that. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with my 9mm again and grab this kind of darker red. I like this dark red for shading and such because it is very sheer. It's a very sheer red, so it goes onto things really well. We're gonna add it just to the top. And then I'll wipe the extra red off and then start working this down. And now we can add the mushroom details with white. All right, and now I'm going to go back in with the yellow and add the fireflies in. Oh, I love it so much. And then we're gonna add some fireflies to the trunk. Go away. Sorry. Alright, and I think that is going to be good for the fireflies. Might add actually like a couple more down in this area. There we go. Alright, stick that into cure. And one thing I've noticed about doing really detailed nail art is, I'll show you after I apply this, but when you go to put a shiny top coat over, it's kind of lumpy bumpy, and then it makes the shine of the nail look a little weird. So rather than adding a shiny top coat right now, I'm actually adding a base coat, because a trick I figured out to make it all nice and smooth is to add builder gel to the top, a thin layer of builder gel to smooth everything out. So the base coat I was using is the Silky Base Coat by Model 1s. And the builder nail gel that I'm going to be using is the Model 1's B0008 Clear. Alright, so this is what the top coat would look like without the builder gel. You can see how it's kind of lumpy, bumpy, it doesn't have that nice shine. So, I'm going to go ahead and add some builder gel to the top of this. Alright, I'll let that sit for a second, just smooth out a little bit, and we'll go like this. We're holding it upside down so that it kind of collects in the center and thins out a little bit at the edges. Alright, now that looks quite a bit smoother. I'll still have to do a little bit of smoothing after, but it looks a lot better. And now that that's cured, I'm going to go over it with a lint-free wipe with alcohol, just to get any residual stickiness off. And then I'm going to go over it with my emery board to rough up the edges, smooth everything out. I'm gonna do that off camera though, so that I don't get dust all in my paints that I'm gonna use for the next nail art. That's the one. So I'll be right back. All right, now that it's completely filed, which I just went through and made sure it was nice and even all the way around, cleaned up the edges, because these will tend to get thick. And then I thinned out the tip a little bit because it was also looking a little thick. So I'm gonna go over it with dehydrator just to make sure that there's no dust remaining, and then we get a little sneak preview. I am so excited to put the top coat on and see how it looks. I'd be so sad if it looks bad. We'll see. All right, so I'm gonna use the Glossy No Wipe Top Coat by BallPit. I have not tried this yet, so I am very excited. There we go. Very excited to try it out. I usually use the Model 1's base coat or top coat because the BallPit one was out of stock for a long time. It's so pretty. All right, and here we have the finished nail. Enchanted Forest nail art with the Makartt brush set. So now I'm going to banish those brushes back into the abyss from whence they came and get my BallPit brushes out and do this again. And here we go again. I went ahead and did the black already because it was going to be the exact same as the other nail, but now we can start adding on all the rest. Time for round 2. And this time I will be using my BallPit brushes, so I'm very interested to see if there's a difference and how much of a difference there is. This time I have my, if I could show it to you guys properly, I have my Easy Ombre brush from BallPit to try to... And if this doesn't work, it's probably not the fault of the brush. I am ombre deficient. Oh, you dumb camera. Come on, thank you. All right, not too bad. Just gonna a little bit more up in here. I'm sure everybody's screaming at me to leave it alone, but I have a problem with that. Every time. That was actually easy. Probably because it's the same color, but yeah, I like that. That's super pretty. And this time, we'll remember to use the matte top coat before we do the first tree. All right, and now I'm gonna go in with Beginner Baddie that I'm actually gonna show to you. There we go. So I'm gonna go in with Beginner Baddie. I don't remember the length of these brushes off the top of my head, so they'll be somewhere on the screen. Oh, wasn't expecting that. Excuse me, sir. Sorry, my cat is attacking me. Sir, what are you doing? Apparently the meownager is displeased. I do feel like I'm having a little bit easier of a time, like maneuvering these brushes to do more like curves and stuff. That might just be me being biased though, because I am more used to using these now. And one thing I'll have to keep in mind too when I look at the final piece is usually the second one is a little bit better just because I learn things when I'm doing the first version. So if it's only like a fraction better, then the brushes are probably about the same. But if it's like way better, then. Yeah, I do feel like I have a little bit more control with these brushes as opposed to my Makartt brushes. I say and then make a mistake. The other thing is little mistakes like that I generally left where it was in the Makartt set, and that's not because I'm trying to like sabotage the Makartt set or whatever. It's just because it's more of a pain in the ass to fix mistakes and it's unlikely to show. So I just pretended I didn't see it. Alright, let's bring the black back. Rude. Sometimes when I wind up just brushing it instead of cleaning it up, I'll dip my brush into a little bit of alcohol. But it looks like I'm going to need the blend and erase brush for this one. Which makes sense, it is black. There we go. That looks like the nice start to a trunk. I think this one might be a little thinner than the other one. Definitely. So last time, I'm pretty sure I put the matte top coat on before I did the browns and stuff. I think it works better to do it with this texture, so we're gonna try it. See what happens. I'm gonna get my paint bucket brush. So I can do my little splotches. So I wound up having to take a tiny break in between working on this nail, and as you can see, during that break, I wound up changing out my nail set. So don't mind the nail change, but that is the nice thing about press-ons. Now that I'm able to use my BallPit brushes, I am going to be using my Easy Ombre brush in order to make the bark texture. And if you notice that the palette has changed since you last saw it literally 3 seconds ago, that is because it has actually been several days on my end. Unfortunately, my kitten got sick right after I filmed it, and we took her to the vet, and it turns out that she had FIP, and we were getting her treated, but she did not, unfortunately, she did not respond to the treatments, so we had to put her down on Friday, and that was the first time I've ever had to make that decision, and it was one of the worst things that I have ever had to do so far. Definitely goes on the list of really, really bad days. So I wound up taking several days off, and I am now back trying to get everything going again, getting this filmed, getting back on the ball, because, you know, we love her and we miss her, but our life can't stop. I still got bills to pay, I still got a brand to try to build, so on an art note, this is a lot easier to do than the individual brush strokes of the Makartt set. But I am kind of trying to do the same thing where I just give where I do kind of the hint of a wood texture. I absolutely love this brush for texture like this. All right, I like that. Okay, while that's curing, I will re-put my greens back on. I'm doing a little bit shorter strokes with this just because I feel like it looks a bit more mossy if it's not quite as stretched out. All right, I'm gonna grab just a little bit of this lighter color. I'm gonna kind of dot it around the edges in some places. I don't want to do too much of that. I do think it helps lend to the mossy texture. A little bit of the brighter green in just a couple places. Oh my gosh, I love how magical that looks. Sorry, got distracted. Shiny lights and all that. Okay, so I did go ahead and already add the matte top coat to this. Yeah, I have no excuse. I was waiting for pictures to load and I got impatient. So this is done already. Now we'll do, let's see, what brush do we think we should use for the leaves? Let's play a little bit with the fun size, because madam, thank you. Because I have not yet had a chance to use this brush, so we're gonna try it now. I also think this time I'm not going to diffuse out the little yellow dots, because they do look a little bit thin anyway. And I think when I go in with my fun size brush to add like the little firefly dot in the middle, this will look more like a glow. But we'll see. Hey, rude. Thank you. Go. Ugh, I love that effect. I'm probably gonna do that like 15 more times on this video, so I'm sorry. Ah, you stupid. So I think I'm actually gonna do these smaller ones with the fun size brush. 'Cause I think that these mushrooms would just turn out too big if I did them with paint bucket. These ones are supposed to be a little on the smaller side. It'd be a good idea to go in and refine these shapes just a little bit more with the fun size brush. All right, I like that. I am gonna go ahead and put this into cure all the way instead of just using my little handheld clicky thing. Flashlight, that one. And then I'm also gonna go ahead and use, let's see. I think I will use paintbrush to add on the slightly darker red that I completely forgot that I use. Silly me is about to start on the dots. Alright. Why? Thank you. Whoop, wrong one. And I think I'm going to use twice as nice for these stems. Okay, I think now I'm gonna go ahead and cure, put another matte top coat on, and then we'll go in with the last final details. All right, last details. Not as happy with that line. Just trying to let my hands spaz to give a little bit more of a natural edge, but my hand spazzed a little more than I wanted it to. Yay! There we go. Let's see how this one does for the itty bitty dots. Mushrooms! Okay. Wipe off this brush real quick, and then I'm gonna do the rest of the fireflies. I think I'm going to put a little bit more right there, and one more right there, and then I think we're good. I'm gonna put it in for its final cure, and then I'm gonna put base coat and the builder gel on top, and I will be back to put on the final top coat. It's so pretty. I love it. Time to cure and compare. Okay, so now we've got both of them together, and they're a little more different than I was expecting. I was expecting there to be differences, but for very different reasons. So let's have a look at them together. See if I can struggle my way through this. Okay, so this one is the one that was done with the Makartt brushes, and this is the BallPit. And I still love that effect. Overall, I'm happy with both of them. Obviously, my ring light is making this a little hard to see, but so one thing that I noticed immediately about the difference between the Makartt nail and the BallPit nail is it's hard to explain, but I feel like this nail has a lower resolution than this nail. Like, the details are a lot sharper and smaller on the BallPit nail than is on the Makartt nail. And that is just from the brushes themselves. The thing that I was a little bit surprised about was the vibrancy of the yellow and orange parts, the fireflies and the leaves, the Makartt nail, as opposed to the BallPit nail, which that makes sense now that I'm thinking about it. Yep. Losing it here. Come on now. Get back on there. And I think it's because since I had the smaller brush, I just wasn't applying as much color, but I don't mind that on the BallPit brush personally. I think that it kind of has a hidden in the background factor that you'd have to get up closer to really see. So it doesn't look as busy from a distance as this one does. Like, this one looks magical from a distance, but it also looks very, very busy. Like, I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at from a distance. And then when you come closer, it's like, oh, okay. But it's still busy.
I don't know about you, but for me, BallPit was the clear winner for this kind of micro detailing. To my eye, the Makartt nail looks like it was painted in lower resolution. It's a bit softer and less defined. I also found the BallPit brushes to be a lot easier to handle. I was working with them rather than needing to fight them. But here's my Horde approved recommendation. If you're doing casual nail art, the Makartt set is a fantastic value. And if you're chasing the insane detail, start with the affordable ones and then slowly upgrade your hoard. In my experience, learning to bend a stubborn brush to your will can actually help make you a better artist in the long run. Well, that's it for today. Thank you to everyone who stuck around until the end of the video. I really appreciate it. If you want to see more, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!